welcome back to Badgerworks. Just a quickie today. You may remember from the previous video we were testing this setup and it all worked very nicely. What I wanted to do was use some of these 18650 batteries. These are great. They're 3.7 volt. These are made by LG. They're 3.7 volt, 3000 milliamp, but they have a maximum draw of 20 amps, which means you can get huge amounts of power out of them. The problem is the battery holders that you can get for these things, like this one for example, they tend to be somewhat on the weedy side, and the main problem is these springs. As you can see there, what's happened is the spring, being made of steel instead of copper or anything else, is a bit of a nightmare when it comes to resistance, and as a result what happens is when you put any kind of load on the batteries, the spring heats up, and as you can see here, it's basically melted its way through the carrier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remake this, and I'm going to take these springs out and I'm going to replace it with some heavy duty copper connectors that I'm going to make, and hopefully that means that this thing will be less prone to melting and dying. So let's see what we can do with this. So it's working. Basically what I've done, and this is a complete and utter lash up, but it is just to prove the concept, is I've taken two pieces of heavy gauge copper wire and I've wrapped one around the spring there, which you can see that's where it melted before, and I've put another piece across the tail end here to connect these two terminals together, and it's been running now for nearly 10 minutes and it's absolutely no problem at all. Now interestingly, look at the temperature there. That's 17 degrees. Now when we were using the other battery, the LiPo battery, that was running, if you remember, something about 30 degrees, and I think the reason for that is that these lithium polymer batteries, they're from China. One of the reasons they're so cheap is because they use cheap components, and I have a sneaking suspicion that this wire here is actually steel, not copper, so it gets hotter. And it's the same thing that happened here. Because the spring is made of steel, the resistance was basically a perfect storm, and it allowed it to heat. It basically worked exactly the same as the heating element in the smoke machine, heated up and melted the plastic. Now we're using copper, which obviously is an excellent conductor. This is now absolutely stone cold, whereas before, after a few seconds, it heated up enough to melt the plastic. Now it's been running for 10 minutes and it's stone cold. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that, because obviously this is a lot smaller than that. It's about a quarter of the size. It's got twice as much power, and it's working very well with this little smoke generator. So I'm going to leave it running, see how long it runs for. But yeah, I just thought that might be of interest to some of you, the fact that using copper as a conductor rather than steel is obviously a lot better idea. So yeah, anyway, just a quickie, as I say. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers, bye.